Hello everyone, Tom here with the Royal tier list. We are going to rank all the cards, all the black cards. We're leaving the white ones out. It's going to be too complicated with the white ones. That'll be a different tier list if people are interested in seeing my opinions on the best to worst cards. So we'll go through our rankings here. We got 4 different categories. I think that's fair. The Throne is going to be our top ranked cards. Royal Advisor, that'd be like an S, this would be like an A, and then so on and so forth, right? So like a C, D, F. We have the Royal Advisor, we have Court Jester, and then we have the Royal Flush. Normally a Royal Flush is a good thing. In this case, it's shit, so you flush it. We're gonna base this on a normal mode run, in my mind anyway. That's how we're gonna go. And keep in mind, this is just my opinion. Yours can be different, that's fine. I might rank something down here in the flush that you think is up here in the Throne, but that's everybody's got their own play style. So we're gonna start here with August Presence. Non-king pieces can't come near you, so you got your little safety bubble. You can kind of see here, that's the idea. Pieces can't jump in there, they can attack from outside of that, like all except for the king. I really like this card. It's okay on its own. It synergizes with a lot of other things, but on its own, I think that it's a very useful card. It's a good utility card. I'm gonna put it up here as a Royal Advisor. It's not on the Throne. It's not a must-have, but it's good. Now we have the Irvine Belt. So this is a pretty straightforward one. No fancy stuff. It just gives +3 ammo. And if we're going based off of a normal run, I'm gonna say it's not that great. Further in, when you get up to hard mode, very hard mode, you don't have much ammo. That means that it gets a little bit better. But even still, it's not complete garbage. I'm gonna put down here in Court Jester though. It's still usable, right? Depending on the build and I mean how you play. Getting that +3 ammo can be very useful, right? Okay, moving on. Let's go down to the extra barrel. So we get an additional charge, right? So on normal mode, we have 2. This would give us 3, which is incredibly strong. You get a little bit of an additional arc added to it. So we get +7 arc. I think that's what it is. That doesn't matter to me, right? When you're going for this, you're going for the extra shots. For me, this, I rarely pass. For me, this is a Throne card. On every mode, you want to have as many barrels. It's so good. Every time you reload, you're gonna have, in this case, if we go by normal, you're gonna have three shots, right, that you're gonna have loaded in there, and that's pretty useful. So that's our first Throne card. I really like that card. Highly recommend using it. Now, Gradual Absolution. This one is an interesting one. This is a more complicated one. So it gives you +1 firepower for each empty soul slot. So it's a conditional thing, right? If you've got 1 soul slot and it's used up, then it's not doing anything for you, right? So it won't do anything for you at all unless that soul slot is empty. So it's, for me, my personal playstyle, I don't use soul slot. If you watch my videos, I don't use souls nearly as much as some people probably do, because I feel like it puts me in more dangerous situations than anything. I have to think a lot more about where I'm going to be going with those things. For me, the fact that it's not a guaranteed firepower puts it down here. It's okay, but there's other cards that give you the guaranteed firepower that are just so much better. I would say it's better than this. It's better than the Irvine Belt, but not like, it's not something that I go, oh man, I gotta have that. No. Now we have the Blunderbuss. This is something that is very strong. This is +2 firepower. You get +30 arc, right? So you start getting that, your arc starts to balloon out quite a bit with these, but the firepower is there, and you start with 4. This puts you at 6, and that makes it so that you can one-shot a queen, you can one-shot, well, you can one-shot everything, basically, except for the king, unless you get his health down. Personally, I think it is, I'm not going to say that it's a Throne. It's a really good card. I'm going to put it up here in the Advisor. I think it's really good though. Like I think it's a really, really good card. Yeah, you could put it in Throne again. I do pass it up occasionally because I only ever go for 5. 6 is more than what I really aim for. I just don't chase after it that much. Now we have Majestic Sensor. And there's going to be all kinds of different things. Remember, we aren't talking about synergies here, right? Because this is where your synergies can really start to come into play with cards like this. So this gives you an extra ammo, which is a nice little thing to have on there. But the big thing is this gives you an extra soul slot, right? So we would have 2 if we were on normal mode. And like I said, I'm not going to go too far into synergies. But if you have this, your Majestic Sensor, and you're rocking one of these, all of a sudden this becomes much better, right? This becomes a lot stronger because you've got, if both soul slots are empty, or if you have 2 soul slots and they're both empty, this thing's giving you 2 firepower, right? So it starts to stack up really nice. On its own though, this is really good. This is very, very nice to have. And yeah, it gives you more opportunities to save your butt, right? I'm gonna say that even though I don't use it a ton, I think it's the game saving. There's no downside to that thing, and it does synergize with so much, right? It makes so many other cards better that it's worth having. Now we have the Cornered Despot. This is a new one. This was in the most recent update, so you get +2 firepower while you're on the outside of the board. So when you move in from the outside of the board, the card flips over, you don't have that damage. But the second you get back on the outside, it is giving you +2 damage. Again, more conditional damage, right? It's a little bit more than some of the other ones that give conditional stuff, but it's still not the best. And I find that I try to avoid the outside as much as possible in most runs because I end up getting trapped. I'm gonna put it down here. It's not something that I chase after. I'll take it, but it's so conditional that it doesn't make it a must-have for me. And here we go, Sacred Crown again with the soul stuff. So you can go like a soul slot build, right? This thing is great. Extra turn after using a soul card. So this is something that, again, I don't use a lot of souls, but it is a fantastic card for a lot of players, and if you do use the occasional soul, it can get you out of a jam. And I'm going to say that it's a throne card. I'm going to say it's really good. Probably more than this, even more than the sensor. Not as good as a barrel though. The barrel is, I mean, the whole point is to try and kill things, right? We're trying to take out the white pieces. Let's see here. Now we've got Crow's Blessing. So this is a straightforward one where we get +2 range. And that's really nice, right? So I believe we start with 2 to 4 range, and this thing's going to bump you up to 4-6, which makes it so that you barely have to move, and you're shooting all the way across the entire board. And if you've got, you know, good damage or whatever, you're gonna be wiping out pieces much earlier. And I feel like I almost always take this when it comes up. I really do. For me, range is very important for me. Ooh, yeah, it's more important for me than ammo. I'm gonna put it here. I'm actually gonna put it ahead of that. I love having that extra 2 range. And a lot of the negative cards remove range. So if you have this, that kind of cancels out some of that negative stuff, right? The white upgrades. Ritual Dagger. So we lose 1 range. And so here's another thing, right? I just mentioned that. This is giving me more range. That makes, if I had this, Crow's Blessing, then I don't care that this is taking away range. I actually just did a run yesterday where I had that scenario. But the big thing is, the king loses 3 HP. It was 4 HP when the game first launched in demo, and they nerfed it for good reason. Even still, though, this card is absolutely vital, I find, to clearing runs, making your runs incredibly easy. And for that reason, it's coming all the way up here for me. I love it. I need it. I need that. King losing 3 health is massive. Now we get into a wand here. This is the Wand of Wrath. This was harder for me to figure out the different wand designs when I was trying to make sure I had all this lined up. But this is the Wand of Wrath, and it deals damage equal to your firepower to a non-king piece. And this is one of the reasons why I like to aim for 5 firepower, because this wand, of course, if you have it at 5, you can kill a queen before the first turn has even happened, if you want, right? And get the soul card or whatever. It is by far the, like, well, I shouldn't say by far, because there's some other good ones. There's another really good one. It is the best one in my opinion, though. It's something that I'll use every single turn or every single floor when I have it, right? Sometimes there's wands where you just don't need to. This thing, I'll use it every single time. Not a must-have, I wouldn't say, but it's I'm gonna put it up here. It's a beautiful upgrade. Don't have anything down here in the flush, eh? Do I like all the upgrades that much that we don't have anything in the flush? I wonder. I focus. So here's an interesting one, and more conditional stuff. So you get the +1 firepower, and it removes some arc. And the way this one works is if there's an enemy on an adjacent space to you, it flips over and it doesn't work. So you lose that upgrade. Again, it's a little bit the conditional stuff, right? But I will say, this is my favorite one of the 3 conditional cards. I like the less that it gives less arc. If I was to hold it up against these 2 here, I prefer it. I really do. So I'm going to put it up here because I take it over these guys. All right, now let's move on. I'm sure I'm making some decisions that are going to make people mad, and that's fine. Elite Gem. All right, so our Elite Gem is another very straightforward one. We have ammo regen +1 and plus fire range. We get +1 on the fire range, +1 on ammo regen, and ammo regen can be really nice, especially when you get into hard mode. It makes it so that you can kind of get away with removing some of your ammo on some of those other cards. It's not something that I feel like I need to have. I'm gonna take it over this. I'm gonna take it over the Irvine Belt, but it's not something that's like a must-have. It's an okay one, right? I still prefer firepower. Firepower ahead of. I don't think you're gonna see anything down here that's gonna add firepower to us. I'm pretty sure we're not gonna have anything there. Kingly Alm. So this is our grenades, the Grenade King. This is one of the most fun cards in the game. You throw a grenade and it hits everything in the square, right around where the grenade lands. It hits everything for up to, well, not up to, it hits everything for 3. It uses 2 ammo though, so it'll cost you 2 ammo, so sometimes you got to be a little bit careful. But you can literally just stand in the back. It doesn't have range, so your fire range isn't affected by it, so you can just first turn chuck a grenade, and that's really strong, in my opinion. Very, very strong. It wipes out a lot of stuff really, really quickly, and if it doesn't wipe them out, it at least hurts them a bit, right? So I'm gonna put, I love my grenades. I really do. Oh, I love them. I'm putting the grenades here. I love my grenades. It's not a must-have, but man, it's fun to have. Gunpowder, another straightforward one, just +1 firepower, and it's not conditional, right? It doesn't have a condition that comes with it. It's just +1 firepower, right? So that fact that this has a condition on it, this has to go higher, and I would take it ahead of August Presence and ahead of range, putting it in there. Maybe I'd take it ahead of the wand even. Probably would. I take it ahead of the wand because without more firepower, I'm not using this wand. Well, not rushing to it anyway. Again, another one of the wands. This is the Wand of Gust, and this one, it pushes all pieces backwards 1 space. I think it's just 1 space. I'm pretty sure. I admit I have very little practice with it. I've had it a couple times and I barely use it. And here we go. This is our first flush. That is not worth having, in my opinion. It almost needs a rework. It's really bad compared to all of the other wands. Okay, now we have the small fry harvest. This can be a very fun card to have. So the way this one works is for every pawn you kill, you get an ammo back, right? So you can start shooting. Sometimes if you know what I mean, like you end up with 2 full rows of pawns, and maybe you have 3 barrels, and you just start shooting, and you can just stand there and blow through all the pawns, and you're getting, it feels like you have unlimited ammo, and that's what small fry harvest can do for you. It's a very, very cool card. Very situational in a lot of ways, though. And on a normal mode run, I don't feel like it's the most necessary thing. But I'm gonna put it up here. I still don't put it ahead of, I wouldn't put it ahead of anything that's giving me firepower, but I think I would prefer it over these guys. Because it's just, it can be just really, really strong in a situation where you have lots of pawns, especially. Okay, and next up, we have Courteous Jousting. I had to do a little bit of a fix there. I had an ad pop up on my computer that was making all kinds of noise. So I had to cut something out. We'll do it again. Courteous Jousting. I really like this card. Extra turn when you kill a knight. And I end up with a lot of knights on the table all the time on the board. They're all over the place. Usually 3 or 4 knights. They don't have much health either, and it's super easy. So because it's super easy to kill them, you get a lot of extra turns, and that's very valuable. And I'm gonna put it, man. You know what? For me, I really, really like the card. I'm gonna put it in here. I'm gonna put it in here. I like it a lot. I really, really do. There's more cards that I like than I hate. Believe it or not, there's not many that I really hate. Having said that, taunting hop. So the king loses 1 HP on this, right? So that's okay. That's the best part of it, in my opinion. You can jump over a nearby piece, dealing 1 damage to that piece. I have had this card countless times. I have never ever jumped over a piece with it, not even once. I know people sometimes maybe have said in videos, like in the comment section, you know, oh, you should use taunting hop here. It's like, I don't even think of this thing. I forget that I even have it. So for that reason, it's a flush, and it's worse than that wand even. It's terrible. It's awful. Get out of here. All right, so now we have the rightful curtsey. And this one, +1 max ammo, and it has a 50% knockback. It can be cool. It can be really cool. But is it that important to have? Not really. Not really. I've had builds before. If you get 2 of these, it can be kind of fun. If you pair this with the moat, and that's fun. But realistically, it's not that good. I'm gonna put it over here at the back end of that. Yeah, I like that. And now everybody's favorite fancy shoes, the royal loafers. Now this is the strafe mode, and you can right click on an enemy. And the way it works is you right click, and then you can move to the spot that you want to go to, and you will shoot from the spot that you were at the enemy that you've right clicked on. I know that might sound complicated, but most people probably know how it works anyway. I always get yelled at for not using them enough, and that is right. People are right to yell at me for not using these enough because they are really strong. I will admit, I just forget that they're there. Like the taunting hop, but they're way better than taunting hop. I'm gonna say that the loafers are here. I'm not gonna say that they're a must-have. I'm gonna say they're there. I wish I remembered to use them more. I admit it, and I've been doing a little bit better, but they are really good when you remember that they're there. And now, the Black Mist. This thing is a lifesaver, literally. It protects you from death once per floor, which is crazy. And you can get more than one of them, which is even crazier. And for that reason, it is, in my opinion, and people are going to disagree with me on this one because they say that they always end up in a bad spot anyway, but I mean, you'd be in a worse spot if you didn't have it. You'd be dead right away. I'm going to say it's the best card in the game, probably. giving you basically a revival is what it is insanely strong. Now we move on to the moat, one of the most fun cards in the game. I love this. When they brought this thing into the game, it was so cool. So the moat, it puts a moat across the board. And the only pieces that don't get affected by it are knights. Knights can jump right across it. But everybody else gets stuck in the moat for one turn before they can come out of it. So that's kind of cool. I really like the moat. It's a great defensive thing. Has good synergies with other things, right? I did a video where I had the grenades and we had August Presence, and it was really cool. The moat is... Ooh, I really like the moat. I really do. I'm gonna say the moat is up here. For me, this is my preference. The way that you can control the pace of the game with the moat, you can literally control the pace of the game. You can play both sides of the moat like you're kind of like skipping rope or something. Like you can jump back and forth and really mess with the white pieces. If you time it right, you can get all the white pieces, all the pawns. They get kind of on our side of the board, and you can get them trapped, and then you can just go for the king, who's usually hiding by himself at the top. So I really like the moat. And Piercing Truth. This one, I wish I liked it more. One of the problems with Piercing Truth is it comes with a couple nerfs, right? You lose a firepower, you lose a range, but it pierces through it pierces through a target, right, and deals damage to the piece behind it. But losing that damage, right? Losing that damage is so hard, and I just don't think, like, if you're not getting this thing, if you're not getting Piercing Truth at the end, there's literally a time where this thing is like, you won't want to take Piercing Truth as your first upgrade. You won't want to take it until you get more firepower. Usually, I would not recommend taking Piercing Truth unless you've already got additional firepower added on, so that it doesn't affect you as much. I don't think it's good. I don't recommend it. It's probably one of the best flushes that we've got, though. For me, I don't like it. I don't like that the two nerfs. I don't think it's necessary to have the two nerfs. But it is what it is. I don't recommend it, though. Subtle Poison. This is a really cool one too. It's like the opposite of Piercing Truth. It's got a lot of good stuff going on. So the king and the queen both lose health, which is great. They both lose 1 HP, and the queen or queens are limited to 1 face per turn for the first 15 turns of the game. And depending on your build, you can literally kill the king before the queen even comes off of that one space cooldown. That is so strong. It's a very good card, and I take it every time. I kind of wish I hadn't put the crown and the sensor up here, because they're not things that I take, but I know, like, they are really good, and I want people to make sure. I want to make sure people know that they're good. But for me, this is something that I take all the time. I take it ahead of moat even. There's a lot of really good cards in this game. The devs have done a fantastic job making cards feel rewarding, and that's why I've got so much up here in the high end and so few down here, because there's not many that really stink. Now we have Wand of Frenzy. This is another really strong wand, right? So this will refill your ammo and refill your gun, right? So it'll refill all your charges, all your ammo, and if you're running on empty and you hit this wand, you get another shot, right? It doesn't count as a turn when you use this thing. It's really strong. Not quite as strong as this one, in my opinion. It's a lifesaver, but it's not quite as strong. But it's literally like neck and neck, I think. You could interchange those things. They're both really strong. King's Shoulders, probably the most fun card in the whole game, other than maybe grenades. It's debatable. King's Shoulders is a fantastic card, though. You pick guys up and yeet them off the board. So once per floor, you can lift a piece. Well, a non-king piece, right? Can't pick up the king. You can lift a piece, so you can jump into their space, pick them up, like they weigh nothing, and you can throw them. right? And it doesn't end your turn either when you do this. You still can jump or throw. And when you throw them, you can use them and they'll do, I believe, 3 damage, right? So it's good, and depending on the piece that you're throwing, some of them just fly right off the board. I really like it. I don't think that it's something that I force myself into, though. I'm gonna put it here. It's a cool card. It's a lot of fun, but I don't think it's like, that's not winning me games. Okay, I'll put it that way. It's not winning me games. Yeah, it hasn't won me a game yet that I'm aware of. Engraved scope. So this is our Sniper King build. Engraved scope, you have to right click this one. A lot of these are right click too. I don't think I wrote that on my notes. I made notes so that I didn't accidentally miss important details of cards. So the engraved scope is really good in a way, right? So it takes your arc completely down. It's -45 on the arc. It increases your range, and the bonus resets on every move and reload. I found out though that this thing actually takes a turn to use. The hard way. I lost using it. I don't like it. I don't like it. That alone. When I used it and I died, and someone in my chat said, I was streaming it at the time, and someone said, you know, it took a turn when you did that. That alone makes it terrible for me. I don't like it. And I don't feel like it's I don't like it. I just don't like it, and I'm allowed to not like it. It's here. It's a flush for me. I don't like that scope. And now we have the, oh, is this the Unfaithful Steed? Yes, yes. Move 1 square further per night soul. Now I had a really funny build one time where I had 3 soul slots. I had 3 knights in there. So this thing was, I was moving like a queen. But it's really not that strong. They buffed it. It used to delete your card between floors. Now it doesn't. It's still not very strong compared to so many other cards. It just doesn't have that much, and I've never found that it actually saved me from death. I don't recommend it, and because of that, I'm gonna say that it's down here. It's okay. Now we're getting into the bad stuff, aren't we? I don't like that card. I like it more than that in that, but I would use it, and this I would use over this thing. And Unjust Decree. This is kind of cool, but again, you lose firepower, right? So we're losing firepower on this one, losing 1 firepower, and it shoots all loaded shells. So we right click and we just fire them all. Very cool if you've got like 3 or 4 charges. It can be really good. And that kind of takes away from the fact that it removes your firepower because you're doing multiple shots. I'm thinking here. I like it, but I feel like it's very conditional. I wouldn't take it if I had only 2 chambers, I don't think. I would take it if I already had 3. I feel like it's a must-have if you got 3 chambers, but other than that, I don't think it's a must-have. I'm gonna put it in here. I'm gonna put it down here. It's not that strong. It can be really good, but it's not something I chase after. All right, now we have Kingdom Wealth. So we get +6 ammo from this thing, and the king gets 2 health. In some situations, it can be really good. I feel like this is much better on hard mode and further, right? Hard, very hard. If you're playing on normal or easy, this thing is completely useless. You shouldn't need the ammo, and giving the king health just is not a great idea. So yeah, if you're not playing on the harder modes, it's not worth it. Ooh, let's put it here. Yeah, it's not good. Okay, now we go on to Wand of Wings. Wand of Wings, you can move up to 3 squares in any direction. It sounds really good in theory, but usually anytime I've got to a point where I felt like where I wanted to use this thing, I was already so trapped right, that I didn't have an out, and I was completely stuck, nowhere to go, and the wand was just useless. So for me, it's not the worst wand, but it's not great. Man, wow, okay, all the bad stuff was at the end, it looks like. Yeah, I'm putting it down here. I don't recommend it. I don't think it's worth a pick. And then we have Wand of Downpour. Wand of Downpour deals 8 damage on random enemies, right? So single damages, it just bounces around and it hits for 1. It can hit the same enemy multiple times. I really dig this wand. I think it's a great tool, and can make it so that if you don't have enough firepower, maybe you hit the queen one time and you've got 4 firepower, then all of a sudden she's a one-shot kill, and it can make a huge difference. I think it's a good choice. I really do. Yep. I've had a lot of luck with these wands. It's not as good as the other two. The guaranteed kill and the refill, if you're in a sticky situation, having that refill is great. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. I bet you're not, though. I bet I made some choices in here that people are going to be upset about. But like I said, there are so many different builds in this game. Maybe you just like sniping from the other side, and then you're like, well, that's an S tier. That's a top tier. The scope is top tier for me, and that's great. I'm glad that you like doing it that way. If you do, I just don't. I don't feel like it's never like I'm never gonna take that thing. I'll never take it. It's that bad for me. That's just one example. Guys, thank you so much for watching. If you want to see more Shotgun King content and gameplay, make sure to subscribe to the channel, like the video so that it gets seen by the masses, because this game still deserves to be seen by everybody. It's an incredible game. Thank you again for watching. I'll catch you on the next one. Actually, I'll see you on the white card tier list. We'll do that thing too. Have a fantastic day.